Alright, Akim, Shalom, Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone, for teaching us his truth. Citations to the sincere Akim and Aqua that may listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another quick and Lord's will is always an edifying lesson. And for today's lesson, I kind of just wanted to, I was kind of meditating on this precept here in First Timothy, the 6th chapter, in regards to contentment. And, because, just to, give a little backdrop, I was kind of just meditating on there's a couple things in regards to these different holidays that our people get into. And a lot of the reasons a lot of people do these things is because they don't have essentially what they experience with our people, especially. They experience something known as like a bankruptcy spiritually. So they get into these things and essentially they want to, let me go get gifts and do shopping and because I think it was they would do all these different celebrations and so on and so forth, right? Because they don't feel like they have anything of their own, right? Because our people have forgotten, their resting place, like the scriptures say. So let me just get the word contentment actually, because that's one thing I was thinking about that this truth does. It promotes a sentiment of contentment, right? So this is contentment, and well, let me get the word content actually. So the word for content, it says to be to rest, to be satisfied, to give satisfaction to. It says content from the Latin. It says contentus, contained, satisfied, to hold together. It says with, so con is with, and then ten, so tent goes back to the French word tenir, meaning to hold, right? So there is a symbol of wholeness, right? And that is one thing I've noticed that this truth does, because a lot of our people, they get into these different things to essentially try and fill that fill that hole, because they're missing Yahweh Bashim Shai, really, right? So let me get a couple precepts on this. Actually, let me go back to First Timothy, right? Just bear with me on this. Okay, this is First Timothy, chapter 6, verse 6. And it says, "But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we cannot carry nothing out. Having food and raiment, let us be content. Let us therewith, content." Right, so it promotes a mindset of, you don't really need a lot of these things that Jake likes to go and get. Like, for example, last week it was Boxing Day. People like to go and do a massive ton of shopping, because that's what this culture promotes. This culture that we live in Babylon the Great, it promotes a culture. It promotes a sentiment of excess. Like, you constantly need a bunch of things, right? You constantly need this, you constantly need that. Now, what I am saying on the flip side to that, if you like nice things, you have a job, you work, right? You want to get something better for yourself to improve your situation. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I'm calling out, is really the filthiness of the culture that we live in, known as this consumer culture that is perpetuated by Babylon the Great, aka America. It perpetuates a culture a very sick culture because it preys on insecurities. It forces you to think that you need, okay, I need the next TV, I need the nicest car, I need to upgrade my phone, and honestly, you know what, if it's not broken, there's no need to get rid of it, right? So that's pretty much the mindset, because I was also meditating on a lot of things too, especially, with a lot of young men, in this society, you feel like you need to get and gravitate and grab hold of a lot of carnal things to essentially make themselves look a lot more appealing to, for example, women. If I'm just using women as an example, right? They need to, I need to have all this. I need to, have this nice prestigious job. I need to, have this, six pack, you know what I'm saying? You need to have a lot of these carnal things. And what this truth does, it shifts the mindset and refocuses on the priorities and maintaining riches spiritually, not riches carnally, right? Let me go to. I had a preset that just came into my mind. One second. Just bear with me. Let me go to the Apocrypha. Because when you read Luke the 12th chapter, Yahushua said, a man's life doesn't consist in the things that he possesses, right? So our lives are not made up, are not defined by these carnal things that we have, right? The whole duty of man, like also that the scriptures say, is to fear the Most High and keep His commandments. That is our whole duty as an Israelite man. So let me just go to. Hold on, just bear with me on this. Okay, this is Sirach 37. Just going into the mindset that this place kind of constantly perpetuates. It says, Sirach 37, verse 13, it says, "For excess of meats bringeth sickness, and surfeiting will turn into choler." Right, so let's get that word. Surfeiting. I believe it has something to do with actually, let me just get it. Surfeit. Okay, here it says excess quantity. In the etymology, it says unhealthy, overindulgence, gluttony, excess, arrogance, overdue, to make do, disgust, caused by excess. So it causes. So that's what this place perpetuates. It perpetuates a sentiment of like, yo, you constantly need a lot of these different things, right? Rather than there's a lack. Oh, hold on. It says immoderate behavior. Oh, that's interesting, right? So it's saying like food, drink, right? So that could be anything, anything pleasurable, so to speak, right? So that's one of the things that this culture promotes. This culture is so demonic because and then you can see that in trickle down into the people, because like when you look at America as an example, America, there you can see it reflecting. You can see that mindset reflecting upon the people. You could see that being like, oh man, these people are, a lot of people are overweight. You could see that in their mentalities, right? They got to go to the club every weekend. Like they got to do all these different things, all these different rituals because they're empty inside, right? I was reading this article earlier about this woman. There was a woman that was going around, and she had slept with 100 men. I think it was in 24 hours, and I think next month I was reading that apparently now she's going to sleep with 1,000, right? In February, right? So it promote that's what this culture promotes. It's a very sick, filthy culture, right? So so one of the things I kind of wanted to go back to was the mindset of a contentment, and then understanding there's a more um what's the word I'm looking for? There's more. There's a shift into focusing on enriching the spirit, right? That's why we don't feel the need to not only participate in these things. We don't feel the need to, we don't get, phased by not participating in these things because we're satiated spiritually. We're not constantly being satiated. What's the word I'm looking for? Carnally, right? So, because the scriptures say that why spend money for which is not bread, and your labor that satisfieth not. So people go in and they get these and go and buy a lot of these carnal things, and they're still essentially empty inside. They get their achieve their so-called American dream, right? Which is more like a nightmare these days, because people are postponing their plans to either get married or try and have a family because everything is just too goddamn expensive, right? But that's another topic. But that's really the point I kind of wanted to hit. The level of satiatedness, if that's a word, it switches from being more spiritual in the truth versus being strictly just carnal, right? So where am I? Okay, let me just read. I'm gonna go to Kings. Just bear with me on this. I didn't really want to make the lesson too long, but it's just something I was kind of just meditating on, because I saw this other video the other day, and people were like lining up and trying to get into this premium outlets mall, and I didn't think people still do that on Boxing Day and trying to get the Boxing Day deals and all that kind of stuff. I didn't think people still do that, right? But when your mind is when your mind is not conformed to the ways of this world, you realize like, man, people still think like this, right? So, um, okay, just bear with me on this. Let me just look for where I want to start. Okay, this is First Kings 3 and 6. And it says, And Solomon said, Thou hast shown unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept him from great kindness, and thou hast given him a son to sit on the throne as it is this day. And now, O Lord Yahweh, my power, it says, Thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father. But I am but a little child. I do not know how to go out nor come in. Thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people, and cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? And the speech pleased the Lord Yahweh Bashmael that Solomon asked this thing. And the Most High said unto him, Because thou hast asked this thing, and thou hast not asked for thyself long life, neither has asked riches for thyself, nor asked if the life of thine enemies, or but has asked for thyself understanding heart to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words, and I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. Right? So one of the reasons I'm reading this is it's because it shows you, what Solomon really prayed for, and then he was multiplied after the fact, right? So something I was actually also meditating on is this week is even praying for spiritual things. Like normally for myself, I pray, the Lord has mercy upon me and my household. Remember us, sincere brothers and so on and so forth. Just remember you know, Baba Kasha, protect my coming in and going out of day to day, right? Because we know the type of environment that we live in. We're living in an environment, that is where death is everywhere. Death is just lurking everywhere, right? So, we live in it, like the scriptures say, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, right? Thy rod and thy staff shall comfort me, just to roughly paraphrase. But, it's just something that I came to my, realizing that, also maintaining and praying for, spiritual things too, right? So adding to that, that spiritual understanding, adding that wisdom, to us, right? Not, because, Jake think, because if you ask Jake, okay, man, what am I going to pray for? One of the things Jake would always say is something tangible, something carnal. Oh, let me get a new BMW. Let me get this new chick, right? Right? You know, that's the kind of things, that's the kind of mindset Jake has, rather than praying for spiritual things, right? But let me just read verse 13, and it says, I have also given thee which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days, right? So, the Lord essentially had given him, riches after the fact, but he gave him, that wise and understanding heart, or that mind, to be able to properly, instruct his people, right? And the scriptures say that wisdom maketh a man's face to shine, right? That's what makes, the men, prophets, the elders, bishops, valuable men, right? And that's what makes us valuable in the eyes of the Lord, right? Because a lot of these people in this world, they don't have that, right? That's why they're always looking for, especially mostly our people, I'm kind of speaking out, they're looking for things to kind of satiate their spirit, and they're realizing the things that they try to get to satiate the spirit, and that includes a lot of the famous amounts of people. They're looking, these things are just temporal, these things are not eternal, right? So anyways, I'll leave the lesson right, there. I didn't want to make the lesson too long. It was just something that was kind of just on my mind, you know something I also have to keep in mind, to even myself, to pray for, in these days, right? So anyways, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Brakatham to you brothers, you sisters that may listen, and until next time, I say Shalom.